The first image was myself right after the heart bypass operation. It is the image of loneliness. I try to connect it to other images. I guess it belongs at the beginning with black. If they don't see loneliness in the image, at least they'll see the black. Part 1. Sickness and Empathy. Dear daughter, sickness has a way of isolating us, even as we yearn for empathy. When chronic illness took hold of my body, I realized how alone you can feel even among loved ones. They offer comforting words, but it's hollow comfort. They cannot truly understand what it means to live each day in pain. As I navigated medical procedures alone and watched relationships fade away, I saw that sickness reveals how little empathy most possess. Only someone who has stared down the barrel of a grim diagnosis can understand the isolation. When your body betrays you, you inhabit an island no one else can visit. Friends can extend a hand, but never grasp the shattering of your world. In my darkest moments, I am alone, just me and the monitor beeping beside my hospital bed. My sickness has taught me we all have a core of loneliness inside us. When illness plunged me into frightening territory, I realized with stark clarity how alone we each are in this world. Our loved ones try their best, but they cannot penetrate the isolation of living within a failing body. Their offers of support are just patches of gauze on a gaping wound. In the beginning, I clung to the belief that sickness would unveil the empathy latent in others. But as treatments wrung me dry and friends faded out of reach, I saw that disease illuminates the absence of compassion around us. They treated my suffering like a temporary inconvenience, not the shattering of my world. In my darkest moments, when it was just me and the buzzing equipment keeping death at bay, I understood the core of loneliness that exists even in a crowded room. I know each breath I take brings me closer to my last. This disease has warped my sense of time. Though only in my 60s, illness left my body that of an 80-year-old, withered and weary. At first, seeing myself so aged was terrifying, a glimpse into a future that may never come. My youthful spirit strains against the prison of my failing flesh. The discrepancy between how I feel inside and the exterior decay is jarring. This exterior is simply my reality now. I inhabit the body of an elder, though my inner fire remains. My sickness may have aged me prematurely on the outside, but it has crystallized my understanding of what matters most. The body fades, but the connections we forge can be our most lasting legacy. I hope when people now see this weathered face, what shines through is not the sickness, but the spirit that endures. Sickness has a way of isolating you, even when you're surrounded by people. As my diagnosis progressed, the loneliness grew more profound. Friends offered comforting words, but couldn't truly grasp the ceaseless pain and exhaustion I battled. They carried on with their lives, while my world narrowed to hospital rooms and a body that felt like a stranger's. The simplest tasks soon required Herculean effort. Just showering left me depleted for hours. the mundane details of everyday life now lie out of reach, highlighting my aloneness. While others chat about their jobs or weekend plans, I retreat into lengthy silences, unable to relate. In low moments, the loneliness swells unbearably. I play out normalcy in my mind, having the stamina of my youth. But reality always comes crashing back, the monitor beeping beside my hospital bed. Being sick means being misunderstood. It means crying in the night and comforting only yourself. It means longing for empathy from those who can't fully grasp your pain. It means finding strength and purpose from within when it can't be found without. My body may fail me, but my spirit remains determined to bridge this isolating divide. For now, I take each day as it comes, finding humanity in small gestures from strangers and keeping my inner light aglow. When sleep's veil falls, illness's grip on me loosens. In dreams' soft haze, strength and vitality bloom again within my body. No pain or fatigue can reach me there. Freed from the prison of sickness, I glide and leap without hindrance. The simple joys of movement are newfound pleasures, each step a miracle after mindful shuffling while awake. My dream self swims in cool blue oceans, sprints barefoot through grassy fields, dances with the recklessness of youth. This illusion of health feels almost more real than my frail physical form. Sleep offers temporary amnesty, a pocket of time when disease's authority is suspended. All the activities illness stole return vibrantly for a few hours of reverie. Upon waking, when pain comes crashing back, I cling to the memory of wholeness gifted me in dreams. My spirit knows itself as more than just this malfunctioning body and its limitations. However tempting, I cannot choose to live in sleep's reprieve permanently. But nightly, my psyche provides respite, a reminder of light still within me. And each morning, I open my eyes with renewed hope and patience to weave what joys I can from the waking hours ahead. The realm of dreams sustains me. Death's shadow has touched me once already. When my illness took a dire turn, the doctors lost my pulse. As they jolted my body with electricity, I had no time to process what was happening. One moment, I was under anesthesia, the next swallowed by darkness. I remember no light, only an inky blackness and profound silence. No visions or revelations, just a void. In seconds that contained eternity, I was gone from this world. Then the chaos of the operating room rushed back as the medical team pulled me from death's grip. Since that brief yet endless moment on the threshold, I have not feared death as I once did. The darkness did not feel cold or menacing, but calm and enveloping. While I'm not ready to surrender to it permanently, the experience assured me that when my time does come, I need not struggle against that final release. My brush with mortality has focused me on valuing each fragile day I'm given. I linger over life's joys, sunlight on my face, an embrace from a loved one, the taste of warm soup when I can eat. I welcome death when it comes, but I no longer waste the precious time left to me. That brief darkness has made me cherish the light. For now, I walk in this world with renewed hope, remembering oblivion is waiting for us all. Until my moment arrives, I will fill my days with as much humanity as my heart can hold. In my darkest moments of sickness, I found myself wishing for the comfort of heaven's promise, some eternal reward for all this earthly suffering. But a blissful afterlife for some would also necessitate everlasting torment for others, a hellish domain of punishment. Wanting heaven seems natural when we suffer unjustly, but an ethical afterlife would require justice beyond our limited human understandings. The visceral appeal of seeing oppressors burn eternally in hellfire reflects our own anguish more than any divine morality. Rather than seeking satisfaction from heavenly judges, perhaps I can find purpose in cultivating more justice and compassion here on earth. My pain has expanded my capacity for empathy. I cannot erase the cruelty and indifference I see, but I can counter it with kindness. By releasing the need for divine retribution, I am free to focus on creating the heaven we need in the present. A world where no one suffers alone, where compassion reaches across every border we construct. Sickness has become a full-time job without pay. My days revolve around an intricate schedule of medications, dialysis, and doctor visits. Just tracking all the pills and procedures consumes energy. The work of maintaining this ill body feels endless. Three days a week, I make the trek to the dialysis clinic, my blood cycling through the machine for hours. The treatments keep me alive, but drain precious time and vitality. In between, I swallow dozens of pills, their names and purposes now familiar. I put on a brave face in sterile exam rooms as doctors probe and prescribe. The never-ending tests and scans provide answers, yet rarely offer hope. At home, I collapse into bed feeling no closer to a cure. The next day, I begin the routine again. Dialysis, medication, consultation. My mind measures my life in pills dispensed and needles inserted, miles traveled to receive treatments. Being sick means surrendering control of my days to survival. Though illness has disrupted my plans, I refuse to let it deflate my creative spirit. While my body falters, my imagination remains free and untethered. Between medical procedures and resting my weary bones, I nourish my soul by making art. Where are my kidneys? I never thought about my kidneys before, or the question I seem to get asked all the time. Do you produce urine? My answer is usually, a little bit. It's funny because you think about the heart, the liver, the lungs, but not really the kidneys. You only need one to function. Every time I go to dialysis, I think about my kidneys. We discuss fluid, and I think back to what I have had to drink. My habit now is that I drink very little so as not to retain fluid, since I pee so little. Before the kidney deceased days, I remember the stream, and it's a trickle. Sometimes when I'm in a public bathroom and I hear other men with the stream, I envy them with my trickle. Writing unlocks my mind, allowing me to reshape my experiences into words that soothe, connect, and illuminate. Composing music and lyrics channels my emotions into song, my unique way of being heard. Filmmaking lets me craft stories and extend the filmic vocabulary. The ticking clock of mortality whispers that I don't have forever to create. I cannot waste time. The urgency propels me to pour my essence into singing, writing, filming, leaving behind something that echoes beyond me. Creating makes me feel alive. It grounds me in the present, keeps despair at bay. My creations weave strands of beauty I can cling to on darkest days. If my work resonates with others, it helps me transcend this ailing body. Though unsure how long I have, I will fill each moment with as much inventing, imagining, and crafting as strength allows. With creativity, I can shape the time remaining into something meaningful. When death comes, it will find me still defiantly creating. My illness has changed me in unexpected ways. I've always turned to music as a salve, but these days I find myself drawn to darker, moodier sounds. In the past, I favored upbeat melodies to lift my mood. Now, somber vocals and minor keys better suit my weary spirit. At first, this shadowy shift in my musical tastes surprised me, but the raw, introspective lyrics resonate with the turbulence churning within. Thunderous crescendos mirror my flare-ups of pain. Haunting piano chords echo the melancholy that permeates my mind. Other music now grates too bright and cheerful. The carefree sentiments jar against my jagged reality. Instead, I let morose melodies blanket my worst hours in the lonely stillness of night. The brooding notes feel like a friend that needs no explanation. Yet even in the dissonant passages, I find strange comfort. These shadowy sounds make space for darkness, rather than demanding I ignore it. And occasionally, a swell of strings or a shaft of light breaks through, hope buried but still flickering. For now, I will indulge my soul with heavy songs that honor my sojourn in sickness. But I know joy still lives inside me too, muted but not extinguished. When I'm ready, livelier rhythms will call to me again. But today, a melancholic melody soothes my wounded spirit. The music I need finds me. As my health fails, I've found solace in David Bowie's haunting final album, Black Star. Though released mere days before his death, the work brims with life, an aching yet transcendent swan song. In those layers of atmospheric rock and jazz, I hear Bowie grappling with his own mortality. The ominous title track pulses with foreboding and wonder at the great beyond awaiting us all. Lazarus echoes with regret and resistance as he sings of lifetimes flashing behind his eyes. Throughout, Bowie reckons with the mystery of disappearing into darkness. Black Star comforts me as death draws nearer. Bowie's vulnerable elegy tells me I'm not alone in this turmoil, though our conditions differ. The cosmic grandeur of the music lifts my eyes from my own pain to our shared human fate. Like Bowie, I want to leave behind worthy work, a resonant chord against the silence. But Black Star reassures me that, even unfinished, we can trust the process to carry fragments of our souls forward. Our lives echo in ways seen and unseen. Whenever doubt or fear arise, I revisit Black Star. As the final notes fade, courage blooms in my heart once more. Come what may, I will live and create fiercely until the end. My light will join a luminous, cosmic choir as we all become stardust again. For most of my life, I viewed crying as a sign of weakness. I prided myself on staying stoic, pushing down surges of sadness, anger, or fear whenever they arose. I thought I was being strong by locking away painful emotions behind a mask of numbness. But sickness peeled back that facade. As symptoms mounted and death's shadow drew over me, my carefully constructed dams collapsed. The tears I had long suppressed could not be contained in the face of my body's betrayal. At first, I resisted the cries that racked my weary body. I felt ashamed at my loss of control. But in time, I learned to accept these moments of release. Tears became a ritual cleansing, a baptism renewing my reservoirs of resilience. In the stillness after a fit of sobbing, I often found new fortitude and understanding. Raw emotions had passed through me. Stress hormones washed away. Clarity emerged as ruminating thoughts floated off with the drying tears. Crying illuminates that we are alive, fully feeling, processing, accepting life in its wholeness. My tears say that although this body falters, my spirit remains intact. Each time I surrender to much-needed weeping, I honor the enduring soul within that sheds no tears in death. I cry often now and feel no shame in it. Tears signify the depth of love and joy I've shared in vibrant times, and they lighten the burden of hardship when darkness descends. However long remains, I will welcome tears as a healing ritual and as testimony to a life fully lived. For decades, tennis was my competitive obsession. I devoted endless hours to honing my game, savoring the adrenaline of match play. Pushing my body to its limits brought me profound satisfaction. But sickness has muted that fiery drive, even as my love for the sport's elegance endures. In my youth, intensity fueled me through grueling drills and triumphs hard won. Now, simply volleying a few balls back and forth feels like enough. My new reality is measured in smaller victories, walking onto the court under my own power, holding the racket with fatigued muscles, shuffling gently to reach the ball. The competitor in me sometimes mourns this lost ferocity, but mostly, I bask in tennis's quieter gifts. The technique's beauty soothes me. The syncopated footwork, clean strokes that send the ball gliding over the net. No longer consumed by conquest, I give myself fully to the artistry. I play until my breath runs short or my body protests. As fatigue sets in, I welcome it as a signal to rest. I am learning to tweak the rules to serve my spirit rather than ego. Winning holds little allure compared to the sunlight on my face, the kinship with my playing partner, and the childlike joy when racket meets ball. My love for tennis has been clarified, stripped down to its essence, a dance that reconnects me with this weary yet willing body. I step onto the court, now simply grateful I can still play at all. The game goes on, though its meaning has changed. My sexuality has shifted profoundly since illness ravaged my body. For so long, I was fueled by raw physical passion and desire. But now, with death lurking close, I find myself craving emotional and spiritual connection above all else. In the past, I may have taken partners casually, but as my time feels abruptly scarce, I yearn for relationships offering true understanding. I want to be seen in my fragility, cared for, listened to, accompanied into unknown darkness. My vitality fed my sensuality before sickness drained it. Now, companionship gives me life when touch alone cannot. I need empathy from someone who will help shoulder the hardships I face. Physical intimacy is a secondary longing compared to being understood. I do not want to waste precious time. My goal is to find a partner whose kindness and consistency bring comfort through trials to come. I hope for a love calm and deep, an oasis of togetherness as I endure the desolate journey of illness. My longing for sex has waned, yet my need for human connection remains stronger than ever. I am changed, but still full of love to give. I hope in the time I have left to find someone who appreciates the wholeness of spirit beyond this betraying body. For now, I am learning to offer companionship to myself, until I am blessed with partnership. Though frail, I know my worth. I will not settle for less than tenderness. The sleeping pills promise a respite from exhaustion, but relief comes at a price. The more I rely on them, the more I worry I'm slipping into addiction. Still, when relentless insomnia leaves me desperate for rest, I reach for that little vial. For months I've fought against taking medication, trying every natural remedy, every breathing technique and meditation. But some nights, when my mind races and my body aches, nothing brings sleep's relief except a small white pill. I never take more than prescribed. I track my usage, wary of increased tolerance. I make pacts with myself to endure one more night without them. But my willpower crumbles in the face of utter depletion. My doctor warns dependency is a risk, yet I can see the concern in her eyes when I stagger in unrested. Still, I hesitate before refilling each prescription, anxious to avoid crossing that line into chemical dependence. In the stillness of night, I crave dreamless, unbroken sleep. But I vow that tomorrow I will redouble my efforts. I will walk, write, drink chamomile tea. I will give my mind healthy occupation to crowd out ominous thoughts. I must remember that while medication brings short-term comfort, real healing takes time and work. As long as I maintain vigilance, I trust I can walk this tightrope between exhaustion and addiction. I draw strength, knowing I'm not alone in this struggle. Rest will come in its own time and way. Until then, I'll embrace what helps me cope while staying attuned to my body's signals. With patience and self-care, I can finally sleep peacefully again, in both body and spirit. As daylight fades, my heart sinks, knowing the sleepless siege is about to begin. The evening stretches ahead, taunting me with the promise of rest just out of reach. I go through my rituals, brushing teeth, reading a book, journaling, hoping drowsiness will take pity and arrive. But soon the familiar restlessness sets in, my mind refusing to quiet as midnight nears. How slowly the hours tick by, every minute an eternity. I stare at the clock as its digital minutes mock my wakefulness. The night drags on, no longer a haven, but a prison trapping me with racing thoughts. I grow jealous of those who describe drifting to sleep within minutes. For me, it's an exhausting battle, willing my breaths to slow and muscles to unclench, while anxiety and discomfort pin me in place. I crave dreamless oblivion, no light or sound, just soothing darkness washing over me. But it remains elusive as time creeps by. I plead silently for sleep to whisk me away, even just briefly. A few hours of forgetting would restore me, but the night continues, interminable. All I can do is wait it out, trusting that eventually, whether near dawn or earlier, unconsciousness will take mercy and let me rest. I must be patient. For now, the minutes will pass. For now, I have the comfort of knowing I'm not alone in this fight. In the gathering darkness of night, familiar faces emerge to walk with me again. When sleep casts its spell, I find myself reunited in dreams with beloved souls from earlier years. Under the moon's glow, the inner spaces where memory resides open up. Companions long gone return to reconnect and converse. We laugh and share ideas left unfinished, the years between us falling away. In waking life, I often feel isolated and weary on my journey with illness. But asleep, I am surrounded once more by kindred spirits who shaped and energized me. For a few hours, loneliness lifts. Perhaps in dreamland, my psyche seeks comfort and perspective. Or maybe on some level, I am preparing for more permanent reunions to come, farther down the road. Either way, I soak up this gift of connection. Morning inevitably scatters my nighttime gatherings, but the love shared in dreams lingers, however briefly, reminding me I walk with invisible support. Whatever comes, I do not make this passage alone. The people who lit my way haven't fully gone. They are just waiting in the wings, ready to illuminate my sleep world when darkness falls. Their light burns on within me, guiding my days and nights. The Aboriginals see dreaming not as separate from conscious existence, but an integral part of it. To them, the dreaming world we enter each night is as real and meaningful as the physical plane we inhabit by day. When I drift off, perhaps my psyche is not merely fantasizing, but traveling to an alternative reality no less valid than this one. The people who visit me there have truths to share, insights my waking mind alone could not conjure. In the light of this perspective, my nightly reunions feel more profound. The healthiest response may be to let the boundaries between worlds dissolve, appreciating dreams as resplendent experiences unto themselves. Waking life offers connection and revelation, but so too does this dreaming reality I immerse in each night. Both states speak truths to guide me if I learn to interpret the language. As days now grow shorter for me, I take comfort in the timeless quality of the dreamscape. Even when I no longer walk this earth, my spirit will venture on in that luminous realm beyond physical limits. The Aboriginals gift me this expanded lens, dissolving the line between waking and dreaming. Each night I cross that threshold, grateful for the communion waiting on either side. Both worlds offer gifts to light my way forward. Lately, my nightly reunions with loved ones feel as vivid and meaningful as time spent together in waking life once did. In dreams, my psyche speaks truths that elude my conscious mind. The connections forged there offer insights to carry into daylight. Both planes of experience shed light on how to live more purposefully as my time grows short. By relegating dreams to fantasy, I discounted their gifts for too long. But Aboriginal ways remind me to honor the wisdoms and connections dreams impart. Night conjures a space where my spirit can journey unencumbered by physical limits. As the veil between worlds thins, I find guidance in Aboriginal views. Wherever my path leads, I will walk with open eyes, receptive to gifts offered whether in daylight or dream time. Both realms speak to my soul. Part 2, Notes from the Bed.
Comment: calm, no grimace, steady gait. William S. Davenport is a 62-year-old male. He is on dialysis, but was unable to get dialysis 2 days ago. Last dialysis was 12/11. Date of surgery: patient says
March
he feels
17th,
terrible.
2023.
Has body
Pre-op
aches,
diagnosis:
shortness
1.
of breath,
Coronary
dizziness,
artery
generalized
disease.
weakness,
2.
2.
Body
Diabetes
pain.
mellitus, has some
3.
chest pressure,
Hypertension.
has subjective
4.
fever and end-stage renal
No
disease
cough.
on
Makes a little
hemodialysis.
urine.
Has some
Operation.
pain with urination.
Coronary artery
Patient
bypass
hasn't taken any
grafting
medication
X3
with
within a
left
week.
internal
He
mammary
went to a
artery
Kaiser
to
clinic
left
and was told
anterior
hypertensive
descending
CKD.
Patients with
Patients
MSID
graft
in
November
anterior
for a
descending
naughty
artery,
and
elevated
diagonal
troponin,
suicide
adult
attempt.
obstructive
It was
sleep
intubated
apnea
in the
SAD.
hospital for
Coronary
surgery.
artery
Each day like
disease
this
is the last
no
day of
angina,
HTN
medication
is a natural part of
SRD
25
milligrams.
It is the process by which a living
coronary
transition
folic
from
acid
acid
deficiency,
deficiency, shortness of
while
breath,
the coffee may
antidepressant
depressant
twice a day, unsettling. William S. Davenport is a 62-year-old male that has been following daily lectures daily hydroxysteroid 25 chronic diastolic dysfunction, coronary artery disease, status post-PCI at RCA on June 22, 2022, history of MI, atherosclerosis of aorta, diabetes mellitus.
I am officially disabled. Well, that's what the government says. The definition being, a disability is any condition of the body or mind, impairment, that makes it more difficult for the person with the condition to do certain activities, activity limitation, and interact with the world around them, participation restrictions. For years, I've worked with so many different types of people who were defined as disabled. I always tried to just look at them as people or as artists, writers, filmmakers, musicians. And I had to figure out how to teach them and what was best for them. In terms of my own disability, it stems from my kidney disease and related maladies. Everything is definitely harder to do. The thing that scares me the most is becoming a burden. I don't want to end up in a bed not being able to do anything. When I go to the dialysis clinic, I see the difference. Loss of limbs, no energy, can't walk, can barely talk, etc. Then I come running in my sweats, having come from the gym, driving myself there, talking to everyone. I try to make it seem okay, but sometimes I can't. And the pain, the medication, the dialysis catches up to me, and I fall asleep, dreaming of the day that I'm no longer disabled. Being sick is so much about a state of mind. I don't mean that you're faking it, but after all these years, I have determined that if I think about the sickness, about the pain, it tends to be worse. If I try to make goals and keep as active as possible, there's a difference. Although sometimes, just the process of recovering from dialysis can be difficult. You would think you get accustomed to it, which you do, but sometimes it just hits you and you have no energy. Can you will yourself out of sickness? Not sure, but the main thing that I have seen over the years is don't stay stagnant. No matter what, keep moving. Don't stay in bed. The bed will kill you faster than anything. Think about what you have to live for. For me, it's my creativity, the things I want to create. I think too it's my family and how I want to have more of a connection with them. Also, do you really need that medication? Then you become, basically, a drug addict who's being medicated, who cannot think and can't do anything. I would rather live with the pain and have a clear mind. I don't want to be a sick person, so to get healthy, I've worked on my diabetes. So now I am a compliant diabetic who has his diabetes under control. There's not a lot to be said about hospital food. In general, it's bland and not very nutritious, where it should be. From hospital to hospital, it seems to be the same. They are really into canned fruit, and there doesn't seem to be very many fresh offerings. One hospital that I have been to a fair amount has the worst food, bad service, and they even forget to bring you your meal. Absolutely horrible in so many ways. What saves you are the little snacks the nurses dole out. For a while, I was addicted to the nurses' turkey sandwiches, which was just bread with processed turkey and condiments. Pretty simple, but when you're hungry, it hits the spot. The nurses also have saltine crackers, juice, tea, and graham crackers. Let me tell you, those snacks keep you going. Till the next horrible meal.
A medical dream comes true under the trial of industrialist Henry Kaiser, who holds the plans of the ultra-modern hospital designed by Dr. Sidney Garfield, director of the Kaiser Foundation. From the admissions office on, everything is streamlined and expedited. The patient's record reaches the doctor before he does. Well, this is the last word in the combination X-ray machine and fluoroscope, imported from Holland at a cost of $25,000. Every portion of the body through 180 degrees can be photographed. In the operating room, the first light of its kind is installed. No portion of an operation is ever in shadow, nor is the expectant father forgotten. Here he can get the news officially and suffer under the most comfortable circumstances possible. And for mother, well, she has only to call for her baby, and baby comes sliding through a wall in a drawer-like bassinet for a little visit with the new mother. In this $2 million institution, doors are opened by remote control, and on the single floor, patients are easily moved from place to place. Dream grounds for a dream hospital. The answer to a doctor's prayer.
When you're in the hospital, you spend a lot of time in a room. During one of my stays, I was 23 days in one room. It was a living hell. I got so bored. I don't want to say this, but it's something that is profound, something that you go through. You either go through it or you don't, which means you succumb to the illness or you fight it. And during these 5 years, I've definitely had periods where I've succumbed to the illness. I was pretty much dead, pretty much gone, but I came back. By coming back, I realized that I did have things to live for. And by having things to live for, that makes a huge, huge difference. I don't want to leave this earth yet. I am not going to give up, but I had to get to that 5 years later where I understand and where I know how to use the doctors, the nurses, the medical industry, and I know how to play the system. I've been in the ICU a few times. The first time was when my heart and kidneys failed, and I started dialysis. I had barely ever even been in the hospital. I really thought I was not coming out, that I was going to die in this room. Eventually, I understood that I had to get out of the bed, and I make it over to the chair with the help of a walker. I know that if I stayed in bed, that I would die. Each day I started walking more and more, first in the room and then in the hallway. I was also in intensive care after my heart bypass. I woke up, wires and machines everywhere, and couldn't really move because of all the tubes in me. I felt like I was an artificial human with all these tubes and wires. Thank God the nurses were cheerful. I had 2 nurses who were a bundle of joy. At that point, the pain was pretty intense, so it was nice to have positivity. I can live with sickness. How long, none of us really know. But I just look at it like the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. I try to plan a future, but not too far along. I'm trying to make amends. Of course, that's what one does when they are on death's door. We should do it earlier, but it's something that I know I need to do. Our relationships with people are the most important part of our lives. How we treat others. It's taken me a long time to learn that. A long time. It's gotten me to the point where the illness has gotten me to the point where Sometimes I can't breathe, or there's pain is so much pain. It is so excruciating that I'm crying. It's almost an everyday occurrence, but that's what you have to go through. Or you medicate yourself, and medicate yourself, and medicate yourself. Dying is a natural part of the cycle of life. It is the process by which a living being transitions from life to death. While the concept of dying can be deeply unsettling and evoke a range of emotions, it is a topic that has been contemplated and explored throughout human history. To be dying is to be confronted with the reality of our own mortality. It is a time when one's physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects may undergo profound changes. Each individual's experience of dying is unique, influenced by their personal beliefs, values, and circumstances. Physically, the body may gradually weaken as illness or age takes its toll. Energy levels may diminish, appetite may decrease, and bodily functions may become more challenging. Pain and discomfort can become more prevalent, requiring medical intervention and palliative care to ensure comfort and dignity during the dying process. Emotionally, dying can elicit a wide range of feelings. Some individuals may experience fear, sadness, anger, or a sense of loss as they confront the inevitability of their own death. They may reflect on their life's accomplishments, regrets, and unfinished business. Others may find acceptance and a deep sense of peace, embracing the transition with grace and serenity. I only remember the darkness, the blackness. Now, the depression is gone, and I am searching for the light. The doctors will treat you with medication and more medication. Always question why you are taking this drug. Is it really necessary? I was prescribed so many conflicting blood pressure medications that I developed severe vertigo. One doctor discovered this, and now I am on one medication for blood pressure, not 3, and I'm no longer dizzy. I was in the hospital sharing a room with someone, and he had a condition on his legs, which made it difficult for him to walk. Also, he had some other conditions. He kept repeating that he wanted to die, that he wanted to go to hospice care. The doctors and nurses told him that he wasn't a candidate for hospice care. In most cases, you can choose hospice care when your doctor believes that you have no more than about 6 months to live. Clearly, he was not at that stage of illness, but his mind was willing him to die. What can I say about nurses? I have to say that it was a nurse that kept me alive when I was in intensive care, when my kidneys and heart failed and I started dialysis. He was in his early 50s and had been a nurse for over 30 years. Honestly, I was a mess, physically, but also mentally, and he was there for me. I was crying, and he held my hand, and it was his humanity that made me want to live. That's simple. Generally, nurses are hardworking. I have met a couple who are burned out, mainly because of COVID, but generally, they are the linchpin between the doctors and everyone else at the hospital. It's so easy to get infatuated with your pretty nurse as she comes in your room, smiles, and takes your vitals. She's caring for you, and that's her job. But still, it's hard not to want to take her home with you. CNAs, certified nursing assistants, in most instances, don't know much, but generally they are helpful and very hard workers. There is not much they can do, so the nurse is your go-to person. If you need more pain meds, the nurse has to contact the doctor, which, depending on the time, can be a long process. The doctors are an elusive bunch. At most, you see them for 5 minutes in a day. They are the power where you get your pain medication, and they're the arbiters of how long you will be in the hospital. I'm indifferent about doctors. I think my different illnesses could have been treated differently. Being present with someone who is dying is a profound experience that requires compassion, empathy, and support. It is a time when loved ones may gather, offering emotional support, reminiscing, and expressing their love and gratitude. While dying is an inevitable part of life, it is essential to remember that each person's journey is unique. It is a deeply personal process that should be approached with sensitivity, respect, and an acknowledgement of the individual's wishes and values. Open conversations about dying, death, and end-of-life preferences can help individuals and their loved ones navigate this challenging period with greater understanding and peace. Five years later, I'm still end stage. Well, I guess that's good. The next state would be, you're dead. It's very easy for me to die. 2 weeks with no dialysis, and that's the end. I have gone 1 week without, and ended up in the hospital. Not a fun way to go when you can't breathe. At one point, I did get very depressed, and I was getting a lot of outside pressure. My life was very complicated. I was in debt and felt hopeless. I took a lot of pills to end it all. I woke up a day later, being intubated. Intubation is a procedure that can help save a life when someone can't breathe. A healthcare provider uses a laryngoscope to guide an endotracheal tube, ETT, into the mouth or nose, voice box, then trachea. The tube keeps the airway open so air can get to the lungs. It felt horrible, and the terrible thing was, they said that they brought me back. I never saw the light. I only remember the darkness, the blackness. Now, the depression is gone, and I am searching for the light.
And while the house is still, everything, his body is intact. His body is intact.